Tonight, Forestry Commission briefs Cabinet on measures to protect forest reserves from the Galamsey invasion, following revelations in bombshell Galamsey report that showed widespread disregard for a presidential ban on mining in reserves.
I want to say to the Ghanaian people that whatever it takes to protect the forest reserves of our country, government is putting in place all kinds of measures. We're going to continue to roll out these measures to make sure that these forest reserves are cordoned off from attack.
We have the latest as the Center for Democratic Development demands a review of the community mining initiative they insist has become a cover for illegal mining.
And this whole community mining thing it's just become a real ruse to basically do Galamsey again. So even that program has to be investigated. We have to review that whole program.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Vodafone.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
It is emerging tonight that top officials of the Forestry Commission has been briefing Cabinet on measures to protect forest reserves from the Galamsey invasion. It follows damning revelations in that bombshell Galamsey report authored by Professor Frimpong Boateng, the former Environment Minister, that showed widespread disregard for a cabinet directive explicitly banning mining in forest reserves. We are today, for the first time since the story of the Galamsey bombshell broke, hearing from the Lands and Natural Resources Minister, Samuel Abojinapo. I will bring you details shortly. But first, what did that explosive 2021 report requested by the Chief of Staff say about Cabinet's intervention to deal with mining in forest reserves? My colleague Michael Ashali joins me with more on this. Michael, so at the time where the Cabinet issued a clear directive banning mining or giving out concessions in forest reserves, what did Frimpong Boateng, who chaired the Interministerial Committee and was a former Environment Minister, say about how that directive was complied with?
He says that a major challenge that the committee faced in the mining communities occurred in the year 2018 when the Forestry Commission and the Ministry of Lands itself decided to give out almost all of the forest reserves in the country for mining activities. Now, this was reported to Cabinet at its meeting on 28 February 2019. Now, despite the fact that Cabinet directed the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources to suspend the issuance of all mining licenses and permits by the Forestry Commission, and also to suspend the licenses already issued for operation in 47 forest reserves, the directives were simply ignored and the distraction continued.
In this report, he also goes ahead to suggest that the problem that the current administration is facing with the challenge in the forest reserves was down to a policy decision taken in 2018 by the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and its agencies to grant concessions in virtually all forest reserves. So there was a time, he says in this report, that there was a policy to grant concessions, mining concessions in these forest reserves for mining companies. And he says that did, quote, a lot of harm. He makes the point that this particular policy decision was contrary to the point you're just making there, that directive from the president that all mining activities in forest reserves should be suspended. So the point I was making is at the time when the president had issued a directive that sees mining in forest reserves, that this is back in 2018, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources then took a contrary policy and rather gave out concessions in these forest reserves. And he also details that they were given permits. I'm talking about the mining communities. He says almost invariably the concessions owners were not indigents, and that's an important point. They were not indigents, and they had no attachment to the local communities. They were given permits to work in the forests without any consultation with traditional rulers. And then he makes a point on authority that all the forest reserves have been invaded by rich miners who have engaged Chinese in the operations. And he gave us more about the role that the Chinese played in destroying the forest reserves because of the permits that they received.
Yes, so he says that to make matters worse, almost all the Ghanaian concession owners sold parts of their concessions to Chinese nationals who invaded the forest with heavy machinery and mined gold in the process, degraded the forest, farmlands, and in some cases even destroyed cocoa farms without any compensation to traditional land owners. The paramount chief, for instance, of Manso in Kwanta, complained bitterly about the degradation of the forest and farmlands. Now, guess what happened? Now, it says in such mining communities, the MPP may perform poorly, not because miners were unhappy, but because the indigenes themselves, who are many times more than the miners, are against the authorities in Accra for denying them access simply to their farms.
I see. And that last point about the MPP's performance is important because post the 2020 elections, the MPP assessment had actually established that part of the reason why they lost lots of votes in mining communities was because of the president's fight against illegal mining. Frimpong Boateng is actually suggesting in this report that one of the reasons why they will perform poorly is not because miners were unhappy that there was a clampdown on illegal mining, but because they have given permits to people to mine in these concessions and they were denied access to their farms. That's a very interesting analysis there. The more you read this report, the more you actually discover. It's no wonder it's more than 30 pages there. Well, today, the Lands and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Abu-Jadapo has been speaking on the matter for the first time since the story broke. He was addressing the press at the launch of the latest edition of the Green Ghana Day. Now, he says that all forest reserves have now been cordoned off to stop the Galamsey invasion.
As you know, the ministry has been rolling out a two-pronged approach in restoring the degraded landscape of our country and restoring the forest cover of our country. First is protecting the forest reserves of our country, and second is engaging in this aggressive afforestation and reforestation. The protection will mean making sure that the various forest reserves of our country are safeguarded, are protected from attack of deforestation, agricultural expansion, cocoa expansion, illegal mining, all the factors which result in forest degradation and deforestation, wildfires and the rest. The Forestry Commission has put in place adequate measures, a plethora of measures to ensure that we protect the forest reserves of our country. And I want to say to the Ghanaian people that whatever it takes to protect the forest reserves of our country, government is putting in place all kinds of measures. In fact, as recently as 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had a retreat and the Forestry Commission briefed Cabinet on the measures that are being taken to protect the forest reserves of our country. And we're going to continue. We're going to continue to roll out these measures to make sure that these forest reserves are cordoned off from attack or from the drivers of deforestation and forest degradation. Is that you continue to have the assurance of government and the ministry that we are discharging our mandate with integrity and transparency, with candor, and doing all we can to ensure that we keep our environment, we keep our landscape intact, and the integrity of our forest reserve is not compromised. And as you know, the various measures the ministry is put in place to deal with these matters are matters of public knowledge, and these are matters I've spoken to over and over again. And we're very focused on that, and we don't want to be distracted. The forestry sector is one aspect of the mandate of the ministry, but as you quite rightly pointed out, the forestry sector has a relationship with the mining sector, as the mining sector has a relationship with the forestry sector. So whilst we are taking these measures to green our country, we are equally taking measures to protect the forest reserves of our country. And that is the responsibility the President gave me from March 2021 to date, and I've been working hand in glove with the various stakeholders in the ministry, in government, and beyond to make sure that we discharge the assignment given to us by the President, and that's exactly what we are focused on doing.
So let's gauge the latest in these forest reserves. Erastus Asari Donko, arguably Ghana's foremost reporter and voice in the fields for Joy News as far as the illegal mining menace is concerned, joins me on the telephone line right now. This year, he's been doing a lot more work, particularly in the forest reserves as well, trying to gauge what really has been happening in these reserves. Let's bring in Erastus now. Erastus, a lot of your work has been referenced in this explosive report by Frimpong Boateng. Let's narrow down on the forest reserves. We've heard from the minister just a short while ago at the press conference today talking about these reserves being cordoned off. He also makes the point about a briefing that the Forestry Commission has now been made in the last couple of weeks to Cabinet. This year, what did we discover as far as the forest reserves is concerned?
Well, unfortunately, I cannot sing the same song as the minister. I wish what he said was true, but on the ground is a different story. The areas that the president said forest reserves are being cordoned off and that nobody is mining in any forest reserve is not accurate. When you go to Upper Wassa Forest Reserve, you find out that in 2018, that was the focus of the IMCIM, where we went in there to drive away C&J Alaska. Mining has continued until today. If you look at drone footage from that area to date, it will shock you that the level of devastation. And the main actors who are faceless are not the ones doing the mining. In fact, when you go to the grounds, they've demarcated the land and they've shared it out to Chinese miners. And they are in control, mining and taking, and these people taking cuts monthly. When you go to Apamprama Forest Reserve, the Odahon section, the Kobro section, and recently there's another section that is actively being mined as we speak. And in fact, I had a conversation with some of the indigents in that area who are being prevented from going to their farms close to that area because of the illegality. When you go to other areas, Tabosre has been mined since 2018. Currently, there are people still there who are mining. When you go along the Ankobra, the forest along Takwa and its environs, we've been there recently. When we flew the drones, there is active mining in all these areas. So it's not true and accurate that all forest reserves are being cordoned off. If the Forestry Commission will come up with its own findings, they will tell you that that is not entirely accurate.
And a lot of what you said, we also read in the report that these forest reserves are not being destroyed by indigenes per se, but mainly being done by Chinese miners.
Well, Evans, if I had the opportunity to, if it's on TV and I was going to show you evidence, I will show you evidence. And this was in 2018 when we went there, and even recently. These faceless people are not mining themselves. They demarcate the land and share it to Chinese miners. Per our laws, foreigners are not supposed to do mining on the ground, except for large-scale mining, which of course has its own issues. But you have Chinese miners we met on the ground. At Tabosre, for example, the Ghanaians that we met there and arrested at that time had concessions. They claimed that the Minerals Commission gave them the land. But we found Chinese people who were mining. At the Tontokrom area, the Tontokrom section, the Odaho section of the Apamprama Forest Reserve, where in 2021, myself and my team were brutalized by military men protecting a miner in that part of the forest. You find out Chinese miners who have been allocated parts of the forest, and they were mining actively, collecting special gemstones that we found that they said could be possible, possible minerals that we have not yet found, and they were going to do research into it. These are Chinese miners who have been allocated portions of their Pamprama Forest Reserve, and they were mining actively in there. So it's not accurate when anybody says that those areas have been cordoned off and that the Lands and Natural Ministry is doing its work diligently. It's for the cameras. But on the ground, it's a different story altogether.
Rasa Saridonko, thank you very much. And tonight there is some criticism about the role civil society is playing in the wake of the latest revelations in the Professor Frimpong Boateng bombshell Galamsey report. Convener of the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, Dr. Ken Ashigbe, says the civil society groups themselves have done pretty little since these issues came to light, and he's demanding far more.
I think I'm still disappointed. I'm not too sure as a country we are taking these issues as seriously as they ought to be. This is somebody from the belly of the whale, who has made very, major revelations. And, we've not really seen any movement to this particular one. And apart from Parliament that we've heard from, the CSOs, we've not heard anything from all of them. They're taking too long, to respond. And if you look at some of the current data from the theater of the illegality, it's, the impunity is continuing. I've chanced upon some report on the water quality in the Ankobra, and the level of heavy metals that are in that. There are two patients that I know, one that is dead, one that is still in the hospital, and the level of heavy metal that are in their blood.
And that's Ken Ashigwe there. Well, one civil society group appears to have taken up the challenge. That's the Center for Democratic Development, the CDD. Today, you've been hearing from Dr. Kojo Asante, who is the head of advocacy there, and he has taken on the president for attempting to dismiss the report that we've been reading from Professor Frimpong Boateng as hearsay.
Ghanaians, everybody should speak up that these allegations have come. Certainly, the government cannot investigate itself. If it's a committee, we have to set up. If it's whatever we have to set up, we need to find a solution to this. But make sure that we identify who is continuing to do this thing, And this whole community mining thing it's just become a real ruse to basically do Galamsey again. So even that program has to be investigated. We have to review that whole program. So for me, I really, and I'm worried that the media is like, it's like a joke. Oh, this person has responded to that person, this person has responded to that person. We are talking about life and death situations for many people and for our country. As we are talking now, people are still there doing Galamsey. If we don't take action, if we don't come and say no, we cannot let our society be destroyed this way. You government, you have a responsibility. Somebody has come and said, oh yeah, people were implicated, and so you can't investigate yourself. You should set up a committee, or we should set up a committee to investigate, get to the bottom of the matter so we can progress. I think it's in our interest. Yeah. For me, I'm calling for some independent process to go into this matter. This matter it's not just today. But this report was 2 years ago. So what had been done since then? If at that time government thought it was hearsay, why is it that he kept all the committee and all of those things so functioning? Is it now that we are now coming to think that this is hearsay matters? So we cannot accept what government is saying. Somebody's personal grievances. No. That's not good enough. We need to a proper investigation. As a state that is serious will do proper investigation into the matter, where everybody will see the report. Yeah, we talked to this person, we introduced, we went to see, and this person doesn't own anything, all of those things. We want a proper report, not just a dismissing, from a cabinet minister that you or yourself have appointed to oversee the process. No, that's not acceptable.
And that's Dr. Kojo Asante there. He is with the Center for Democratic Development. I want to bring in right now the Ghana National Association of Small Scale Miners Financial Director, Francis Opoku, who joins us on the telephone line right now. Francis, thanks for your time here on Top Story. Hello, Francis.
Hello. Good evening, everyone.
Great to have you, Francis. Please turn off the radio you have in your close by.
Hello, Ivan.
Great. I can hear you loud and clear now.
Great.
There's a point there that Dr. Kojo Asante makes about community mining, and you are on the ground on a daily basis, your members mining, and I believe that yours is small-scale mining, so you have proper concessions. Tell me, he makes the point that the community mining initiative has now become a cover for illegal mining. Is that something that you could attest to based on what you see on the ground?
Yes, if I heard you right, Ivan, the community mining concept was created on the back of the lifting of the ban on all form of small-scale mining, like you are aware, in 2017, 2018. And the reason why there was the need for such an initiative was that it was found out that a lot of people, over close to 1 million people, are involved in these mining activities. And these people, most of them are vulnerable people, mostly the youth, who didn't have access to license like some of us do. So there was a need, as part of the formalization process to be successful, to create an opportunity for such people to also get access to mineable land. So that was how come the community mining scheme concept came about. But what happened was that when this thing came, because it was a main flagship program of the government, and then the DCs and the MDCs of these mining communities were supposed to be heading these kind of operations, most of them took the whole thing, sidestep the institutions who have the technical abilities, the wherewithal to give them technical advice, like the Mineral Commission and the EPA. They let them out, and you go to the place, you find some of the DCs allocating land for people to do community mining without alerting the key institutions like Mineral Commission and EPA. So eventually there was a whole lot of abuse. And you find people mining close to river bodies, people mining close to, roads, and then you go and check, and it is the DCE who has given them the place as community mining. So, Ivan, it is so unfortunate because it was a concept that was good.
So for what you're suggesting is that community mining has now been abused.
It was abused, but at the point, the abuse was so much to the extent that it became an eyesore. So Mineral Commission have to step in and then Minister also at the point, they all came in to look, we can't allow these things to continue. Mineral Commission, community mining, the laws governing community mining is not different from the laws and then the framework governing small-scale mining. They are basically the same. The only difference is that small community mining is meant to create opportunity for the indigenes to have participating interest in the mining activities that are hitherto have been taken over by people outside their communities. Somebody will say, like it's happening today that we all have all seen. Some politicians have so much influence. You are there, then people are taking over the concession over your area. So there was a need for active participation and benefits of the indigenes. So that was what the community mining was supposed to
do. Let me ask you, based on what you've told us, that's the National Association of Small-Scale Miners. Do you support a review of this community mining initiative or a possible replacement of it completely?
Ivan, the whole thing is not about, for laws, Ghana have them in abundance. It's not about, but it's about operations, it's about, implementations. On paper, the laws are good. So if whether we review it or not, and the people who are in charge will not do the right thing. It won't add up to anything.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's the financial director, Francis Opoku, with the Ghana National Association of Small Scale Miners. Well, today talking about forest, the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry has launched the latest edition of the Green Ghana Initiative. I want to bring in my colleague James Aveji in the studio with me on this, and you were at the press conference for this particular launch. Let's look at the figures that the minister has been providing about how many trees they've planted so far since 2021.
Yes, Evan. So the minister said a total of 31 million trees have been planted so far in the 2 years of this program. So this is the breakdown. In 2021, the government's target was to plant 5 million trees. But their data after the planting, according to the minister, indicated that they have planted 7 million trees instead of the 5 million trees. Again, in 2022, they planted 24 million trees against a target of 20 million. Now, 81% of the 7 million trees survived in 2021, but the survival rate figure actually dropped further to 72% last year.
Okay. And there appears to be a drop in the number of trees to, 10 million? Do you know why?
Yes. So the deputy minister actually has been indicating that it is partially because of funding. Last year, government released 6 million cedis out of the ministry's 9 million Ghana cedis budget. But this year, the Deputy Minister, Benito Osubio, indicated that government has approved only 2.5 million Ghana cedis, and we can listen to him make the point.
This year, we say we are doing 10 million. The 10 million that we are doing, as we speak now, I'll give you a breakdown of what we intend to do. The Forestry Commission, through its various district offices and their own internal nurseries, are going to provide us 3 million seedlings. The Minerals Commission, through its alternative livelihood programs, where they supply crops, cash crops like oil palm and others, are also going to provide us with 3 million to make it up to 6 million. The Plantation Fund Board, which is a fund that has been established by government through the Forestry Commission to assist in private plantation development, is also going to contribute 500,000 seedlings. We have committed, and I'll say committed donors who have also pledged 1 million. These include the churches, Rotary Club, the banks, all of them. So when you add that up, of the 10 million that we intend to plant, as we speak now, we have 7.5 that we know we have. Okay. Now, what is left is 2.5. The 2.5, nobody will donate fruit trees, seedlings to you. For instance, the coconuts that people were picking up, and then the mangoes and all that, those ones we will have to procure. So we know that there's a need for us to start doing a appeal for funds. We've started. Last year, we were able to get somewhere in excess of 2 million Ghana cedis. This year, we hope that the pledge ones will also come to show up, and then we can get something again.
And that's the Deputy Minister there.
Ever visited a shop, picked a whole basket of provisions, toiletries, and very essential things you need, battled a long queue to finally pay, only to be told you can't pay to a merchant number? The way that thing they pay, but with Vodafone Cash, there is no problem. Now on Vodafone Cash, you can pay all merchants on all networks. Easy peasy. Aye straight. Aye direct. Aye sharp. From your Vodafone Cash wallet to any merchant number on other networks. So whether you are buying provisions or fuel, medication or food, whatever the service or need, just pay conveniently from Vodafone Cash to any merchant's number. Simply dial *110# to make payment to merchants on other networks today.
Vodafone,
Wouldn't you prefer an apartment hotel? One that offers the utmost convenience of a boutique hotel while offering the idyllic comfort of your own private home. Oasis Park Residences offers luxury studios, 1, 2 and 3 bedrooms both for short and long-term rental at competitive rates. Our sky swimming pool, gourmet outdoor restaurant, and a fully equipped gym rest on a breathtaking rooftop with panoramic views of the city. Oasis Park Residences, located at Shiashi Tetekwashi, 10 minutes from the international airport, is the ideal place for all your accommodation needs. Why don't you give us a call on 020-4343-009 or visit our website at oasisparkresidences.com to make your reservations. Oasis Park Residences, more than a home.
When you are born from Ghanaian soil, you are born rich. Rich in who you are, with natural Guinean richness inspired by Mother Nature herself, just like our premium water, with natural minerals that create pure premium mineral water, made right here by the same Ghanaian soil that made you. Voltic, own your richness. Voltic, a product of the Coca-Cola Company. This advert is FDA approved.
In the next 60 minutes here on Newsnight, school feeding caterers strike extends nationwide, leading to a drop in attendance in some schools following weeks of silence from the Secretariat on demands for arrears and increase in feeding grant.
That we are about 98% are not cooking. We need an increment on our school feeding payment. And since 2019, some of our colleagues are still not paid.
We have the latest also tonight. The National Communications Authority gives owners of some 11 million active SIM cards 1 month to re-register their SIMs or lose them.
The subscriber of these unregistered active SIMs have up to 31st May. 6 million SIMs have been delinked from the SIM register.
Details as the authority delinks some 6 million SIM cards for failing to complete stage 2 of the registration process. Also tonight, former President John Mahama calls for the Health Minister's head over the collapse of the National Health Insurance Scheme.
And I want to tell the minister, he himself has admitted that he has failed. Because if he's not been able to grow the national health insurance and he says it has failed, then he has no business being the Minister of Health. He should resign.
In business,
Ghana could struggle in external debt restructuring exercise following Fitch downgrade of the country's borrowing capacity to restricted default. We'll hear from a senior finance lecturer at the University of Cape Coast Business School.
And in sports, House of Folk suffer humiliating 4-1 defeat to Tamale City in the Ghana Premier League, dampening their chance of winning the league. We'll hear from the coach shortly.
Oh, of course, and we'll hear about that game, tantalizing game coming up in the English Premier League.
Yes, Manchester City versus Arsenal coming up in an hour's time.
Okay.
And
by the time we get here, it'll be like 10 or so minutes in the game. We'll get a feel
Title
of it.
decider, big one.
It is. Want to join us then? Also tonight, we continue our build-up to the NDC primaries with a focus on the Yawaso West Wagon constituency, where friendships are ending amid allegations of party sponsorship of one candidate.
I think that is a betrayal. That's a stab in the back. Obi met me for almost 20 years. That's a stab. Now, no, Fred, does he deserve my blessings? Does he think politics is a joke?
It's inappropriate. I'm making the required payment. Would make a U-turn that on Dumelo should be the only person to be vetted in Ayawaso West Wagon.
You want to stay with us here on your election headquarters. It's been weeks of strike, and now it is spreading across the country. I'm talking about the strike by school feeding caterers. Most of the caterers have vowed not to step foot in the kitchens until their demand for arrears and increase in feeding grant is settled. Now, the industrial action started with the Ashanti Regional Branch declaring a strike 3 weeks ago, citing the rising cost of foodstuff. They requested that their arrears are paid and a 97 peso feeding fee increased to at least 3 cedis. In solidarity, caterers in other regions suffering the same fate have now joined forces to drive home their demands. Organizer of the Ghana National School Feeding Caterers Association is Kwame Amankwa.
I can confirm to you that about 98% are not cooking. And the reason is we need an increment on our school feeding payment. And since 2019, some of our colleagues are still not paid. The most important thing is the increment of this per head of a student. For the secretariat there, we've been going there on countless time. All they say to us is we should be patient. Government is preparing the increment for us. So we should go and cook. We should go and cook with that money. How do you cook? We started asking them to increase this, the 97 per square, not today. And the items that we are using now, it has been, increased over 200%. Because when we started this program, the frator oil was 240 Ghana cedis. That is 240 Ghana cedis. But as I'm speaking to you, the oil is about 850 Ghana cedis. Until the government increase our pay and the underpayment and the delay payment. The secretariat need to call us so that we need some dialogue. But when you go there, you don't even see anybody there. If you ask this one say go and see this one. If you ask this one, say this one, say go and see this one. For me, I can't see anything. No, this is what they have been doing to us. So that is why we decided not to cook until the secretariat engage us to tell us that no, you people should go to kitchen and go and cook. Government is preparing to pay you this amount. If they even give us this, assurance, we will go and cook.
Well, we've been visiting some of the schools. We are learning now that the strike is affecting attendance in some schools. Labor firms, Nana Juma, Nana Boache, monitor the situation in some of the schools. This is what he found.
The caterers at a recent press conference said they would not be intimidated to resume cooking for pupils in basic schools. Headmaster of the State Experimental Basic School 2, Solomon Osei Kankam, says the absence of the caterers had a negative consequence on school attendance. He says students who depended on the regular school meal resisted attending classes.
The children, when they come to school, because most of them depend on their school, when they come in the afternoon, you see some of them complaining of hunger. We did advise them to bring money to school to buy food until the caterers come back. But some of them will come to school complaining that they don't have money. And it was actually having effect on our teaching and learning.
The headmaster pleaded with the government to liaise with the caterers.
Now, because of this school feeding, it is now part of the system. So if that is out, the school will not be that attractive to the children any longer. So we are hoping and praying that government will be able to come to the aid of the caterers so that work will go on smoothly.
Some parents also called on the government to ensure the caterers fully return to post.
As a mother, I wake up early for work, so it's disturbing to find my kids go to school without the caterers not cooking. Government must consider doing something urgently about this. There are enormous challenges considering the strike action. Government must pay his debt and ensure the caterers return to schools to cook. You promised to feed the students, so do so. If you stop cooking, it becomes a problem for parents for as long as it remains a government policy. Government must do something as soon as possible.
Love News checks, however, indicate some of the caterers are returning to cook. For Joy News, Nana Boachi Dankwe reporting.
Alpha Siba speaks for the School Feeding Secretariat and joins us on the line right now. Alpha, thanks for your time here on Newsnight. Appear to have lost him on the telephone line. I believe we still have with me right now the rep of the National School Feeding Caterers Association, who also is with us right now. Let's get into what progress they've made so far in getting some resolution to the issues that triggered their strike. Kwame Amankwa. Hello, Kwame Amankwa.
Hello.
Great that you joined us. So let me ask you straight to the point. I mean, since the strike was declared in the Ashanti region, have you had any sit down, any assurances from the Secretariat or the Ministry?
No.
None at all?
No.
So what has happened since you called the strike? Nothing?
Nothing. Since we started the strike, nothing.
And from what we're hearing, you're getting solidarity from some of your members in other regions?
Solidarity?
Yeah, some of your members are also joining this particular strike.
Now, as I'm speaking to you, the 16 regions, all of them are also on strike. Because it's the same situation.
The Ashanti regional minister, I remember in the first day you called the strike, he came to meet you, he was upset. Have you attempted to meet him again?
No. Somebody who will accept to us, how can you go to him again?
So you've decided not to engage at all?
Yes, we decided not to engage. What we want us to do now is we will continue on the strike so that now we are expecting the secretary to call us.
And they haven't called you?
No.
So as far as you're concerned, you're not calling off the strike?
Until we engage with the secretariat, we sit down and talk about our money, the increment especially. I'm always saying the increment. Because you cannot cook per student 97 pesos. It's impossible. Whenever you start doing this, then you are killing the kids. The nutrition, the core nutrition that we are supposed to cook to them. We can't do that work with 97 pesos.
And you want at least 3 CDs, is what I hear.
Now we need about 3 CDs, 50 pesos.
But even 3 CDs, 50 pesos per person?
Yes.
What food are you going to serve any person in today's Ghana with 3 CDs, 50 pesos? I'm wondering. I mean, 3 CDs, 50 pesos. Mm-hmm. What food can you provide a child with that amount of money?
Master, we've been cooking for 97 pesos. We've been managing. So at least sometimes we need not to consider your alone. We need to consider other things. So if they are able to give us the 3 CDs, 50 pesos, we'll manage to cook for the kids.
Now you got me curious. So tell me, as a caterer yourself, I believe, if you got the 3 CD 50 pesos today, typically, what food will you serve a child in a day? What food? What would that? Rice.
We have the menu. We have the menu. Monday we cook rice, either plain rice or whatever, and Tuesday beans. So as I'm speaking to you, when the thing is in bulk, so when the government is able to give us 350 pesos, it's in bulk. So as a caterer, we will manage to cook for them, and they will get the nutrition. Because we started cooking the 97 pesos for about 2 years now.
I know you've done it on just over 90 pesos for a long time.
Yes.
But how does this affect the quality of the meals that you give the children in the classroom?
The 97 pesos.
Even if let's work with the 3 pesos you're asking for.
Mm.
Even with that,
yeah.
Can you guarantee the quality of the food you give to the children, or you cook for them?
For the 350 pesos, we can manage.
I know you use the word manage, but will it provide all the nutritional values for the child and in quality and in right quantity?
Not that much. But not that much. I will say not that much because 97 pesos we were able to do it. And if he's giving us 3 CDs, 35 pesos, this is hallelujah for us now.
So this is an admission that yes, even with 3 CDs, 50 pesos, it will still be a struggle to give them the food that will be fully nutritious and in the right quantity. But at least you will manage with that.
Yes.
And do you know how much you're owed? I understand apart from the increase, you're also owed some arrears.
Yes. Do
you know how much?
Oh, it's an individual something. But for me, I know mine.
What's yours?
And some of them are even put on paper. You see?
Thank you very much, sir. And that is the organizer of the Ghana National School Feeding Caterers Association, Kwame Amankwa. If you are a parent with a child in a public school, I want to hear from you. 3 cedis. That's what they are asking for, right? So let's work with what they currently have. They get 97 pesos per child to feed your child. 97 pesos to feed your. You're now fighting for just about 3 cedis to feed your child. You just said him admit, yes, it's going to be a challenge, even if we get 3 cedis. But we'll manage. I want to hear from you. 055-1111-997. If you're a parent and you have a child in the public school, I want to hear from you on this particular subject. Now we're hearing in the Ashanti region, after 3 weeks of strike by the caterers, is affecting school attendance. And so, if you're affected, you can send us a WhatsApp. Still listen to News 90s on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, if you're one of those who still not re-registered your SIM, brace yourself, because now the National Communications Authority will deactivate that mobile SIM card. More than 11 million of you will be affected, and you have 1 month ultimatum to ensure that you complete the SIM card re-registration process. According to the authority, that is the NCA, many of the owners have simply refused to register the cards, whereas a handful of the cards belong to Ghanaian nationals serving overseas and those without Ghana cards. The NCA says owners of unregistered SIM cards have up to the end of May to register them or risk losing them completely. Director General of the NCA, Joan Noche, says more than 25 million SIM cards have successfully completed stages 1 and 2. He addressed a news conference earlier today.
Based on the statistics that we showed earlier, there are about 11 million active unregistered SIMs. 11 million active unregistered SIMs. Now, who do these SIMs belong? They belong to exempted SIMs from Ghanaians on national duties outside Ghana, foreign diplomats, refugees. So Ghanaians on active duties outside Ghana, foreign diplomats have been exempted. But there's also recalcitrant subscribers who have Ghana cards but have refused to register. In fact, there's a lot more of them. Some subscribers who have registered some but not all SIMs. There are a few of us who may have 5 SIMs, but we register 2 and we leave the 3. And of course, subscribers who do not genuinely have Ghana cards. How do you address this? One of the things to note is that active mass SIM registration for existing SIMs is coming to a close. As mentioned earlier, we have 11 million SIMs which are yet to begin the registration process. So listen to this. The subscriber of these unregistered active SIMs have up to 31st May 2023 to complete their SIM registration or have the SIMs deactivated, delinked from the network.
Well, already some people have been taking off the register completely. Joan Noche says these are people who are recalcitrant and have failed to complete the second stage of the process.
In the process of this exercise, 6,178,452 SIMs have been delinked from the SIM register. So when I say the SIM register here, I'm referring to the cumulative SIM register. So these SIMs were SIMs that existed at the beginning of the exercise, but currently they do not exist. They've been delinked or removed from the SIM register. Why were they delinked? These were SIMs that completed stage 1 but did not complete stage 2. So if anyone completes stage 1, it presupposes that they have They have a Ghana card. So they have a Ghana card, they began the process, registered for stage 1, did not do stage 2, and they've been completely delinked from the system.
Well, he also faulted some mobile network operators for allowing their platforms to be abused and for allowing individuals to re-register their SIMs without completing the process.
At the beginning of the SIM registration exercise, the MNOs complained that a lot of their agents did not have smartphones required for registration of new SIMs. As a result, MNOs were allowed to continue to use their legacy platform, which only required the future phone for registration. This opened the process to abuse by some actors in the registration process in stage 1. As part of the monitoring process, the NCA uncovered this abuse and immediately directed all MNOs to discontinue use of their legacy platform for registration. We wish to assure the general public that the SIM database has not been breached. In the first place, there has been no unauthorized access to the SIM registration database.
Well, the Ministry of Communications earlier gave July 31st as a deadline for the exercise. Later, that was changed to 30th September 2022. The ministry, in a statement at the end of that deadline, insisted that all SIM cards which have completed the first stage of the registration exercise but not the second phase will be blocked from accessing data services on 20th November 2022 and completely deactivated on 30th November 2022. Joining us now for a conversation on this on the back of today's briefing is a Deputy Ranking Member on Parliament's Communications Committee, Sam George. Mr. George, thanks for your time here on Newsnight. First of all, there's a part that I know you've raised issues and asked the NCA to look at the abuse of the process already. We just had the NCA boss there fault the mobile network operators. Fair?
Good evening to your listeners. First and foremost, the NCA is playing the ostrich. How can the NCA DG, and I know Mr. Joe Anoche personally, I know his technical capacities. What he is saying is simply playing the ostrich. How is he, as a regulator, blaming MNOs by word of mouth? What sanctions have applied to them? What systems were put in place by the NCA when the MNOs were asked? Because don't forget, the MNOs didn't wake up on their own to say they are going to collect this data. It was they did this on the instructions of the NCA. What plans did the NCA put in place to ensure that the system was not abused? I've had the opportunity to read the text that he read from today in his press engagement. And it's very problematic that the NCA is setting his own questions and not answering the questions that we asked them. We spoke about a breach of citizens' data, because a breach of data by any international standard is the unauthorized use of personal information of an individual without the consent and prior approval of that person. If we have instances where MNO staffs or assigns have used the Ghana card data of citizens without their consent and without their prior approval for registration of cards, that constitutes a breach. The breach we are talking about is not a breach of their subscriber central database. No. No, sir. Mr. Regulator, what we're talking about is the breach of the data that was collected by data processors who are regulated by you, the NCA. And so that is the question they must be answering. I read page 4, and I think it's paragraph 2, if my memory serves me right, where they talk about the challenges with the previous SIM card registration exercise. And they claim that the first thing he claims there is that the passport was used and the passport was not verified. And when you come down later in the text, he says that they've used the Ghana card and it's been verified. That's a lie. The regulator should not be telling a lie.
Why is that a lie?
Absolutely. No MNO verified the data on the Ghana card when registrations were done. And that's been one of the critical issues we've raised about this whole SIM card re-registration. Because don't forget, in April 2020, if my memory serves me right again, the NIA, through its executive secretary, Professor Ken Atefa, issued a statement, and we've had conversations on that statement on your network, where they stated categorically that they could not verify or vouch for the integrity of the data being collected by the NCA through the MNOs, and that there was no way they could verify using their system. And Evans, it is just simple knowledge. When you go to the MNOs, and if you use the self-service system, you are asked to take a picture of yourself. You are asked to submit your biometrics yourself. Now, you are having people who use an iPhone, whether it's an iPhone 8 or an iPhone 10 or 12 or 13, people using a Samsung S20 A04, S23, Techno phone, Huawei phone. I mean, all kinds of phones are being used with different pixel strengths to take this data. How do you expect the NIA, which has a standard for its data, to then use various source equipment to do cross-matching and cross-referencing? There has absolutely been no verification with the NIA.
Let me ask you, I'm curious, Sam. I remember when I was registering mine, you give your Ghana card, which is really the basic document. I wonder, in terms of verification by the MNOs, isn't it simple that you look at the card and check the person standing in front of you to check if it matches before you do? Because we've heard that one Ghana card has been used by 10 people, for example. Isn't that the responsibility of the MNO to check at that point?
And that's the point I'm making. If the MNOs, the system the MNOs were using was verifying data from the NCA, you would not be having the challenges that you are having where people were able to register with other people's cards.
But Sam, I mean, using your eye, you can determine, right? I mean, if you are, I'm standing in front of you and you're registering me, I give you my card. You look, this is not Evans Mensah on the card.
Let me explain the system to you for the purposes of your listeners. If the system the MNOs were using, the telcos were using, was cross-referencing and verifying the identity of individuals with the NIA database, it will mean that when I appear there today and I present a Ghana card, they would have to check and they take my biometrics. It will run a cross-reference with the EFI system of the NIA to verify that biometrically I am the same one and the same person. But because that is not happening, that is why unscrupulous elements in the MNOs can take your Ghana card details and just go ahead and do a registration. And if today, and look, there are instances where people have offered money, 50 cedis and 100 cedis, to staff of MNOs, and they have used other people's Ghana cards to register. So I can appear there with, I don't have a Ghana card because I've gone to the NIA office a number of times and they say they don't have cards. And so they've not been able to register me. But if push come to shove, I could have taken your Ghana card, gone to meet somebody at the telco office, offered a little money, and they would have used your Ghana card to register a SIM card for me.
Then it's right to hold the telcos responsible then.
But whose responsibility is it to monitor and regulate the telcos? Is it not the NCA?
Yeah.
Did the telcos wake up on their own to say that they want to do a SIM re-registration? The telcos did not build an app for the registration. All of that came from the NCA. Whatever system the MNOs are using to do the registration came from the NCA or got approval from the NCA. So did the NCA do due diligence to ensure that the systems that the MNOs are using are foolproof and robust enough to ensure that first and foremost there will be no breach or theft of citizens' data and that there would actually be a verification of the data being used? The NCA and who is the regulator has slept on his job. You've slept on your job and you are waking, and then you wake up finally and you want to come and punish everybody for your failure to do your own job.
Let me ask you finally, they've announced another deadline for those who haven't finished, that they will remove them, 11 million so who still haven't completed the process. This is another extension of that deadline. There are many who believe the NCA simply hasn't got the courage to go ahead with that. What do you make of that?
Ivan, when the NCA said they were going to deactivate SIM cards that had completed stage 1 registration but not done stage 2 registration, I supported it. Because you cannot do stage 1 if you don't have a Ghana card. So if you've done stage 1, it presupposes you have a Ghana card. And so then you have no excuse not to go and do stage 2. So I would support the NCA any day they say they want to deactivate SIM cards that have done stage 1 and not done stage 2. There are some exemptions in that category. People who did stage 1 and misplaced their cards. Those people need to use the call center. But for people who have not got a Ghana card at all, not because they don't have, but because they have gone several times to an NIA office, and the NIA office says, we don't have cards and we cannot take registration, or we are dealing with backlogs. How do you punish them for the inability of the NIA to give them a card?
You're one of those?
Absolutely.
Oh, I see. So, and a member of parliament, you still don't have your Ghana card?
I don't, because I've refused to use the VIP system. I want to use the regular system. I have gone to the NIA office in Pampa, and they are dealing with backlog cases. They do not have whitelisted cards to issue now. They are still dealing with people who registered in March 2022. We are in April 2023. So that is the kind of backlog they are still dealing with.
So you're one of those possibly part of the 11 million that will get delinked.
That is wishful thinking of the NCA, to think that they can just wake up and punish people for the inability of the NIA to complete his job. And Evans, let me just give you this scenario, and it will be the last thing I'll say. You remember that on the 31st of March, when Parliament was rising, the report of the Committee of the Whole, which is 275 members of Parliament, including the Minister for Communications, Etlautu, said that we were going to reject the CI in this state as has been proposed by the Electoral Commission. Why? Because we said that if we went ahead with the CI using only the Ghana card, the position Parliament, 275 MPs, including the Minister of Communication, held is that not enough Ghanaians have secured their Ghana cards, and that it will lead to a disenfranchising of legitimate eligible Ghanaian voters. So Parliament agrees in a bipartisan manner, including the Minister for Communications, who oversees the NCA, that we cannot accept the CI because the only flaw there is that you are using only the Ghana card. And Parliament went ahead to suggest remedies to it. So how does that same minister now turn around and tell us that by end of May, she will deactivate all SIM cards that have not registered using only the Ghana card, when she herself, for the purposes of her re-election, is fighting that the EC should allow other cards to be used, or wait till the NIA has completed at least 98% coverage of the country for her re-election. That is her position. Is it not hypocritical to then turn around and say, but for SIM cards, even though we admit that the NIA has not met a required threshold, we will then go ahead and block it? You see the hypocrisy and contradiction in policy position.
Well, Sam, you have 1 month now to register or get.
Do you think the NIA has the capacity to reach 98% coverage in 1 month?
Well, I mean, it doesn't come down to what I believe or not. You have 1 month now. What do you plan to do, because you still don't have a Ghana card? If you don't get it before the 1 month,
I will go back again and seek to register. But until and unless they issue me a card, you cannot punish me for something that I have no control over. Okay. And that is the logic that the Minister for Communications herself agrees to for her re-election. So if it is good for her re-election, it should be good for the registration of my SIM card.
I'm tempted to ask you, I mean, this inability to access a Ghana card, you just want to make a point, right? Because is that what it does? Is that what it is?
No, I have refused to be treated as a VIP because members of Parliament are given preferential treatment. And that's my point. If all members of Parliament, the 275 who sat in the chamber and agreed in the Committee of the Whole that we should reject the CI because in all of our constituencies, we have not had a sufficient registration of Ghana cards. If they had all refused to take the VIP treatment, and we were all together united in demanding that the NIA is resourced to do another mass registration exercise to mop up the whole country, maybe we'll be going further. But because many people have taken advantage of the VIP system, today they have Ghana cards. But the people who should go and vote for them don't have the Ghana cards. So you can call it whatever you want, but I am standing on the principle. It's about the principle. Why? So if I wasn't a member of Parliament, then being a member of Parliament makes me a preferential citizen.
Sam George, thank you very much. And Sam George is the Deputy Ranking on Parliament's Communications Committee. What do you make of his position on this subject? By the way, as I repeated, the NCA has given him and 11 million of you 1 month to make sure your SIM cards are fully registered, or they will, you'll be taken off the registry completely. Let me hear from you. Still ahead here on Newsnight, we continue our build-up to the NDC primaries with a focus on the Ejewaso West Wuogon constituency, where friendships are ending amid allegations of party sponsorship of a candidate.
I think that is a betrayal. That's a stab in the back. Obi me for almost 20 years. That's a stab in. Now, no, Fred, does he deserve my blessings? Does he think politics is a joke?
It's inappropriate that making the required payment would make a U-turn that on Dumelo should be the only person to be vetted in our SOS to work on.
You don't want to miss that. Stay with us. And then later we'll have sports, but now we have business. With Beverly. Hello, Bev.
Hi, Evans. Now, Fitch Solutions has downgraded Ghana's borrowing capacity to restrictive default. Senior finance lecturer at the University of Ghana, at the University of Cape Coast Business School, Saram Kawa, has opined that this development will make Ghana's quest to secure an IMF deal tough. We'll hear from him later on in the bulletin. Also, economist Dr. Benjamin Amma calls for increase in 400 million cedi minimum capital requirement of banks to rebuild banking sector. Business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery and Alliance Live. We have details after this break.
Isn't life wonderful when everything worth doing is scheduled? Hitting the stop button on your alarm just in time for your morning jog. That happy moment listening to your baby's heartbeat at the doctor's office. Or an arranged virtual meeting with that big client.
Buy airtime ahead of time with scheduled airtime service on MTN Momo. You can schedule your airtime purchase of any amount daily, weekly, or monthly by dialing *170# option 3 and follow the process. Or simply dial *170*311# for a superb airtime purchase experience. You enjoy 100% bonus airtime anytime you recharge yourself with MTN Momo. Keep on talking with that 100% feeling. So, what are we doing today?
MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHF, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
I am Beverly Broom. We settle for details now. In senior finance lecturer at the University of Cape Coast Business School, Saram Kawa is of the view that the downgrade of Ghana's credit ratings to restrictive default will further worsen the country's efforts at securing an IMF deal on time. Fitch, in its latest report, also downgraded Ghana to CC from CCC and subsequently withdrawn the issue ratings on 5 local currency bonds issued prior to the domestic debt exchange program. Now, Fitch attributed the ratings action to missed payments on some of Ghana's local currency bonds issued prior to the domestic debt exchange. Speaking on the issue, Mr. Kawa said the downgrade could affect gains made with external creditors for debt restructuring.
We have seen these downgrades before the debt restructuring. After the debt restructuring, we are witnessing same and further downgrades. What it means to us is that it will become very difficult for us to get the IMF bailout. It is also showing us that the country is not doing so much in terms of us working assiduously with the external debt creditors so that we'll be able to get the IMF bailout. Missing out on the IMF agenda for April tells us that there is a lot of work that we need to do in order to get the deal.
Now, the Bank of Ghana must begin steps to help capitalize banks in the country. This is an advice from senior lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amwa. He argued that the 400 million cedis minimum capital requirement for banks is not enough to build a resilient and strong banking sector amid the macroeconomic environment. According to him, the Bank of Ghana would have to reconsider its capital requirements for commercial banks, else that could have major implications for the country going forward. Dr. Amwa spoke to Joy Business.
What is happening now is all losses that are being recorded now will have to be absorbed by the banks. If there is any shortfall, then just like the central bank is saying, the owners of these banks will have to increase or bring in more capital so that the banks can be comfortably capitalized to do their business. But then the bigger discussion should be, is the 400 million minimum capital still enough? Looking at the environment that we find ourselves in. Clearly, the 400 million, if you ask some of us, it is not enough. The banks must contribute more than 400 million if we are to have a resilient and a strong banking sector, considering the macroeconomic environment that we find ourselves and the vulnerabilities that the debt estate program has exposed the economy to.
You heard the senior finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amwa. We stay a bit longer on the banking sector as economist Professor Godfred Bokpin has stated that the financial positions of banks could be worse than what have been captured in their financial statements for the year 2022. Banks in the country have been hit by more than 6 billion cedis loss due to the domestic debt exchange program. Speaking to Joy Business, Professor Bokpin stated that the true situation is worse since the Bank of Ghana has decided to suspend the international financial reporting standards, which would have shown the actual financial position of banks due to the domestic debt restructuring program.
Actually, the losses you see the banks reporting is actually lower than what it should have been. And the reason is that because Bank of Ghana effectively suspended the application of the International Financial Reporting Standards, especially IFRS 9, IFRS 13, and the rest of them, we ended up using a lower discount rate, essentially ranging between 15.67% to 21%, which is actually lower than the market interest rate that the IFRS demands that we apply. If we had used that, then the losses would have been in excess of 80%. Now we are accommodating losses in the range of up to 40-41%. And that is what you see that it looks more presentable.
Professor Godfred Bokpin is an economist. Now, Blow Group has unveiled Nana Mama Brown as the brand ambassador for its Bell Pack tissues. This follows agreement between the parties in promoting Bell Pack tissues, which come in three main types. Marketing executive for Blow Group, Magnus Day, believes unveiling Nana Mama Brown as ambassador is consistent with their brand, which stands for care, love, quality, and other attributes.
When we invited Empress, she took her time. She actually put us in a little suspense because she needed to be sure that this product is good. Bell is a great brand. It's a household name in Ghana. But if you are doing tissue as well, she has to be sure that the quality is there. The superior quality as compared to what is on the market, she needs to be sure before she gets on board. So she took some time and she did all her research and gave us feedback before she decided to come on.
Let's now hear from Nana Mama Brown touring the Bell Pack factory at Tema Free Zones Enclave.
Everybody knows Nana Mama Brown in Ghana, and they know that I always want quality. So first of all, our visit here is to see how hygienic Bell Pack tissues are produced.
And that's the end of business news on Newsnight, brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery and Alliance Life. I'm Beverly Broom.
Thank you, Bev. A few of your messages on WhatsApp console right now, and many of you are reaching us about the school feeding crisis across the country. And also sharing your thoughts on the subject of Galamsey and the SIM card re-registration. This one has no name, but it says, President Nana Akufo-Addo, you don't have money to feed school kids for only 97 pesos, and you say you can offer quality free SHS, he's asking. And this one from Walanyo in Adenta says, how can we send children to school and rely on the government to feed them on 97 pesos? What sort of food are they being giving? The 3 cedis they are asking for is too small. An egg is even 3 cedis. I thought they say they give them an egg a day. Well, that's Walanyo's point there. And this one from Fafa, who says 3 cedis 50 pesos, and even then they can't pay for it. Are we serious at all? Cut down the cost of ministers and use that money to pay for our children's feeding. Misplaced priority. I'm so disappointed in this president, he says. And this Kofi Seru says, no matter the scale of a well-trained caterer, 97 pesos cannot be used to prepare quality food for our kids in a basic school. Sami in Kumasi says, if the Ghana card is the only requirement for the SIM card registration, why is it that people who simply do not have the Ghana card will be punished? Abuchi says, those who are cooking for the peoples, what is the quality of the food? 97 pesos can't buy common pure water. The government need to wake up. The arrogant behavior of the Ashanti Regional Minister says is getting out of hand. And a final one on the subject of the environment, and Galamsey, Lincoln Nakweteman says Environmental Protection Agency should be stronger in the fight against illegal mining than the task force set up by the government. And then there's some George matter with the NCA. This texter says, some George, such a sensible, patriotic citizen. We need more of such lawmakers in Ghana. So live here on News 90s on Joy 99.7 FM, and this is your election headquarters. And we continue our build-up towards that crucial NDC national primaries that will elect both parliamentary candidates and presidential candidates as well. Yesterday, we focused on one of the presidential aspirants. Today, we are in the Ayawaso West Wogan constituency, where a fierce battle is already ensued, dividing and putting two friends against each other. Now, the NDC managed to bridge more than 10,000 vote gap between itself and the MPP in the 2016 elections to less than 2,000 in last elections. Actor John Dumelo, you know him, who led the NDC to battle in the 2020 election, is facing fierce competition from fellow actor Fred Nyama and lawyer Moses Befia Champon. Now, the process leading up to the May 13th election has been marred with allegations of betrayal and efforts to protect John Dumelo. Not even their close friendship will be spared in this. Kweku Asante has been to the community and came through with a special report.
Following what many described as an outstanding performance in 2020, John Dumelo expected that he will run again on the ticket of the NDC unopposed, but he is facing fierce opposition from a person he considers a friend and fellow actor Fred Nyama. John Dumelo also has to contend with fast-rising politician and lawyer Moses Befia Champon. But even before the party's nomination will open and close at the time, John Dumelo and Fred Nyama were engaged in a media war, accusing each other of betrayal.
And then he's saying I gave his blessing. When did I give his blessing? When did I give my blessings to him? On my birthday, or my birthday, and I say, he came there, and you bring out a releasing a flyer. After that, I send him long text message, and I said, Fred, I never told you I am not coming back. I never gave him my blessings. I never told him in the face that, Fred, I am not coming back. I think that is a betrayal. That's a stab in the back. Obi met me for almost 20 years. That's a stab in the back. And I said, Prime Minister lose. Number one, he's a liar. Number two, I will not come back. Number three, I never gave him my blessings. Now, no, Fred, does he deserve my blessings? Does he think politics is a joke? Or does he think we are joking around? No, on over to my MPP.
I'm not going to blame my brother. Let me be honest with you. Come up, my brother, and can't say, or call the other side. Sir. So, I called on him. John Echo, sir.
The NDC made significant inroads in the Ayawaso West Wogan constituency in the last general election and will be hoping to build on that in a bid to wrestle the seat from Deputy Majority Whip Lydia Alhassan. Moses Befia Champon, who is seeking to lead the NDC, in that constituency is alleging a plot to have John Dumelo run unopposed. He insists he is confident he will win the primaries and win the seat for the NDC.
It's inappropriate and it is surprising that the party, after making the required payment, after going through all the necessary procedures, would surprisingly make a U-turn that actor John Dumelo should be the only person to be vetted in Ayawaso West Wagon.
The party is yet to even hold vetting in the constituency after Moses Achampon and Fred Nyama faced challenges in filing their nominations online, which has stagnated the election process in that constituency with less than 3 weeks to the NDC scheduled primaries. Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mustafa Gbandi, is parrying away suggestions it is seeking to give John Dumelo an unfair advantage.
National Executive Committee or the party at any level is not doing anything to impose a candidate on a constituency, and that will not be allowed to stand if even there's that case at any part of the country.
The Ayawaso West Wogon constituency was created during the 1996 election, and over the course of the last 6 elections has been won only once. That is the 1996 election by the NDC, with the NPP winning the last 5. The NDC says it is doing all it can to win this seat this time. For Joy News, Kweku Asante.
Well, in that particular constituency, the process leading up to this primary has been fraught with a lot of controversy. Let's get some clarity on whether the process is not complete because some of the candidates, their nominations were on hold, etc. Let's speak to Mr. Tetechai, who joins us on the telephone line right now. He's a Greater Accra Regional Secretary of the NDC. Theophilus Tetechai, thanks for your time here on Newsnight.
Thank you and good evening. You and your listeners.
What update can you give us on the process towards the election of a candidate for Ayawaso West Wagon?
Thank you very much. As you are aware, prior to the vetting, we had communication from our national leadership that due to some challenges in terms of the filing process, some sort of investigations has to be done, and that the vetting should be upheld for some time. So the vetting committee went ahead and did vetting for the other constituencies. Fortunately, yesterday there was a FEC meeting. Certain decisions were also taken, and that was Tuesday. And as I talk to you now, 2 more constituencies have been added for vetting to be done. Unfortunately, that of Ayawaso West Wagon was not included. So, as a vetting committee and as a region, we are still awaiting the final decision from our national leadership. Once the decisions are taken, it is incumbent upon the vetting committee to do its work.
So, as we speak right now, there are no cleared candidates in Ayawaso West Wagon?
No, because vetting has not been carried out.
But the elections, it's just a little over 2 weeks away.
Hello?
The elections are just over 2 weeks away, on the 13th, I believe, and that is too close. You believe you can still do this in time for people to still finish campaigning? Because people need to be certain that they are actually being cleared so they can go and campaign fully.
Well, once people decided to pick nomination forms, campaign all over the place started. As I talk to you now, in most of the constituencies, in fact, just today or yesterday, Amasaman, which was on hold, and Ayawaso Central, which was also on hold, they've gone through the process, and tomorrow vetting will be done for Ayawaso West Wagon, Ayawaso Central and Amasaman constituency. And once the vetting is over, people are clear to go. So as for the campaigning, it started very early, and people are still campaigning. Nobody is being stopped from campaigning until you are finally given the nod. You have the freedom to do what you have to do to secure the mandate of your people.
Well, thank you, Theophilus Tetechai there, giving us some clarity on the situation in the Ayawaso West Wagon constituency. Still no candidate there yet. They haven't even been vetted yet, but the process is just 2 weeks away. Let's do sports now, and Ms. Bao is here with the very latest. Hello, Ms. Bao.
Hello, Evans. Well, let's just do a bit of Ghana Premier League before the game between Manchester City and Arsenal. I'll bring you some updates on that. And it's Heart of Folk who are in the news because they were trashed by Tamale City earlier today. The host Tamale City ran out 4 winners, but Samson Eduku meet net in a brace, while Mohamed Yaha and Isaac Mensah also found the back of the net. The win sees Tamale City climb 3 places clear of the relegation zone and gives them hope of avoiding the drop. For Heart of Folk, on the other hand, it put in a lackluster performance that left their fans clearly disappointed. But let's hear from Heart of Folk physical trainer who had to sit in as head coach for the side after the game.
Still goes on. We don't know what may happen at the later part of the season. We just keep our focus, we concentrate. Whatever will be as an error that we weren't able to adapt to, we'll go back home to fix all those errors. Actually, I would say, when it's not your day, it's not your day. But we keep to tell them they should keep supporting, because without them, Heart of Folk also is not Heart of Folk.
And for the head coach for Tamale City, he was quite hopeful that the team will avoid relegation.
Just work in progress. Looking at where we are, there was nothing we could do than to take these 3 points. Knowing very well that we have another important match on Sunday. Tactics worked for us. We plan getting the early goals, which worked perfectly for us. It's business as usual. I'll tap up the good things from here and prepare for Sunday.
So that's Hamza Mohammed there for Tamale City. And of course, the game between Manchester City and Arsenal is just about to get underway. 3 minutes, and the game will get underway. Of course, we can see Erling Haaland in the starting lineup. And the sound of Erling Haaland and he scores!
The stadium is looking delicious, actually.
Absolutely.
Just look at the
and guess what?
lining up.
Prior to the game, Manchester City actually brought out their Premier League trophy from last season.
Oh, they did?
They did. And we understand it somewhere in the stands as the game is underway.
So what's the purpose? I think it's a psychological game.
Absolutely, it's a mind game.
Get the fans behind them in this game. They need that. Because really, if they win this, that's
it. It's done.
It's really done. I don't see Man City dropping any more points between now and then.
After the victory, I just want to see how.
Let's go through the lineup for Man City.
For Man City, you can see Edison is imposed, Kyle Walker, John Stones, Ruben Diaz, Akanji in defense, Gundogan, Rodri, Kevin De Bruyne on midfield, and Bernardo Silva, Erling Haaland and Jack Grealish leading the attack for Manchester City there.
What we have like De Bruyne in there. Look at the back; is really settled.
Yeah.
You're going to have Akanji taking on Saka, I believe.
Yeah.
Right.
He's gonna take on Saka.
We can go through that of Arsenal.
Yeah, Arsenal. Aaron Ramsdale is in there after that howler in the previous game. He still keeps the post for them. Benjamin White is in there, and he returns to the side. Rob Holding, Gabriel is in there. Alexander Zinchenko all making the defenders there. Martin Odegaard, Thomas Partey, and Granit Xhaka, of course, in midfield for Arsenal, and leading the attackers Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Jesus, and Gabriel Martinelli.
And the Ghanaian interest is right there in the middle. Thomas Partey is going to be crucial if they're going to do well here. He needs to stop Kevin De Bruyne because he supplies the passes.
Going to be difficult to stop Kevin.
But we did it. We did it in that game where we scored them 2-1. We stopped De Bruyne. If you stop De Bruyne, you win the game possibly because you are going to blunt the effectiveness of the man called Haaland. Well, you want to catch that game? Feel free to do so on your favorite, English Premier League service. Updates, of course, in text on myjoyonline.com as well.
Cause every time I hear the joy in there, say why is for yeah. Cause every time I hear joy, I say every time I hear the joy, I don't wanna turn off my radio. Every time I hear the joy, I don't want. Every time I hear the joy, I don't wanna turn off. Every time I hear the joy, I don't wanna turn off. Hello, this is Morris, and I say keep on listening to George 99.7 FM. Say J is the joy that I give you every day. Oh, say it's for on. Cause every time I hear the joy in there, say why is for yeah. Cause every time I hear joy, I say every time I hear the joy, I don't wanna turn off my radio. Every time I hear the joy, I don't want. Every time I hear the joy, I don't wanna turn off. Every time I hear the joy, I don't wanna turn off. Hello, this is Morris, and I say keep on listening to George 99.7 FM.